So back to our story, Kyung-ho S님 took Man-gong S님 to this temple Cheonjang-am and left him with his Dharma brother. So about 5 years passed from when Kyung-ho S님 left him off. He was already maybe 18 or 19, and it was Buddha's birthday. Buddha's birthday is coming up, so everybody knows it's a very, very busy time for a temple. And the day of Buddha's birthday is the most busy time because many, many people come and ask for ceremony, offering to Buddha ceremony, bulgong. Especially in those days, people would have individual ceremony. So from early morning, dawn, before it became light, until after dark, Man-gong S님 was just chanting the whole day, doing ceremonies for people. And he was very tired and hungry. Finally, the last person left, he finished the ceremony, cleaned up everything on the altar and put it in his botari, or maybe bojegi, some kind of cloth, wrapped it up, and was going outside of the Dharma room. And suddenly there was a young boy in front of him. And this young boy says, S님, can I ask you a question? And Man-gong S님 says, okay, no problem. He's very kind of young and confident, and anything's no problem to him. So this young boy said, S님, I heard 10,000 dharmas return to one. And Man-gong S님 said, of course. And the young boy said, but where does the one return? Well, Man-gong S님 couldn't answer. 10,000 dharmas return to one. Where does the one return? Nothing appeared in his mind. He had studied all sutras and learned all chanting, but sutras don't talk about where does the one return. So he got this big question. He was really embarrassed. The young boy said, you don't know, and left. So Man-gong S님 took the stuff he had cleaned up, put it in the abbot's room, went back to his room, and just lay down on his sleeping place, looking up at the ceiling, thinking, where does the one return? Only don't know. He got this big question. 1 day passed, 2 days passed. He stayed in his room. He didn't come out. He wasn't eating anything. Finally, the abbot thinks, he's thinking about some woman or has some thinking, so he called him. And he said, Man-gong, what are you doing? Are you thinking about some woman? And Man-gong said, no. And then he told the story of the young boy appearing. And he said, the young boy said, 10,000 dharmas return to one. And the abbot said, of course, they return to one. And he said, no. But then the young boy said, where does the one return? And the abbot said, I don't know. And Man-gong said, yeah, but I have to know. I have to know. Then the abbot said, one more monk has become garbage. Another monk has become garbage. So there's an expression in Korean which is translated, garbage human being becomes monk. Garbage monk becomes a Zen student. Garbage Zen student becomes a Buddha. So this abbot said, another monk has become garbage. You need to go to a Zen center and practice Chamson or Zen. So Man-gong S님 left Cheonjang-am and went to a temple in the same area. It's called Changgoksa. Changgoksa is nowadays it's also a Bhikkhuni temple, nun's temple. It's famous because it has a statue of an iron Buddha in the Dharma room. And at that time it was a Zen temple, and so they had Zen practice there. So Man-gong S님 stayed there and practiced very hard. Only this question, where does the one return? Only don't know. After a while, he was sitting one day. In the Zen temple, it's not like this. This is beautiful, beautiful popdang, but Zen temple has no windows. Everything's a wall, paper wall, and no beautiful colors. It's just wallpaper. It's pretty much white. And there's nothing but a yellow floor and white walls. And the Zen monks just sit looking at the floor or facing the wall, and there's nothing. Just that. But one day Man-gong S님's sitting, looking at the floor, looking at the wall, and suddenly a hole opens up in the wall and he sees outside. He sees the fields outside, some farmer plowing in the field, and he's like really surprised. Oh my gosh. Then he looks up at the ceiling and he sees the sky. So he was so happy. And the next morning early, he went into the master's room and said, Master, Master, I understand. I got enlightenment. And the master says, what do you understand? I've penetrated the nature of all things. I can see right through the wall, see right through the ceiling. And the master said, is that the truth? And Man Gongsim says, yeah, I have no hindrance. So the master picked up his stick and hit him over the head. Man Gongsim was like shocked, and his eyes bulged out, and the ceiling came back, and the walls came back, and the master said, where's your truth now? So Man Gongsim bowed and said, I'm sorry. And the master said, do you understand your mistake? Man Gongsim said, yes. He said, what kind of practice do you have? I'm keeping this 10,000 dharmas return to one. Where does the one return? The master said then, okay, you must understand this one. What is this one? What you experienced was only illusion. In Korean, it's sekkyangge. That's an illusion, fantasy. So don't attach to anything that appears. Only keep this don't know mind. So Man Gongsim was really, really happy and thankful to get this teaching again. Actually, this happens a lot to people who practice. We practice, and then something appears, we think we got it, then something else happens and we're back to zero. So in Korea there's an expression, 10 years practice returns to Amitabha Buddha. 10년 공부 Torah Amitabha. Yeah, 10년 공부 Torah Amitabha. So 10 years practice returns to Amitabha Buddha, which means to nothing. Actually, that's a wonderful word. Returns to nothing. We have to always start again. So Man Gongsim started again. That's great. Then for 3 years, he just practiced really, really hard. And one day, he was doing the morning bell chant, which is a sutra actually, sutra and chanting with the bell. And the sutra is the Avatamsaka Sutra, or Hwaumgyang. And one line is, if you wish to understand all the Buddhas of the past, present, and future, then you must understand that the whole universe is created by mind alone. That's famous. Whole universe is created by mind alone. And he's chanting that, and then he hits the bell, dong, and poof, he got enlightenment. And he was so happy. He got up, went right over and kicked the monk next to him. Kicked him. And the monk goes, are you crazy? And then he realized, oh, did you get enlightenment? So actually, Man Gongsim became famous. And for 1 year, he just went around the countryside, going to every sutra temple, Zen temple, and hitting monks, kicking them, and he became famous. Everybody knew Man Gongsim got enlightenment. So he had this question, where does the one return? 10,000 dharmas return to one. Where does the one return? This is really important, actually. Where does the one return? We take everything for granted in our life. Food, clothes, house, energy. Where do they come from? Where do they come from? For example, today, all of us, did anybody walk here from your house? Did anybody walk here? No, probably everybody took a car or a bus and came here. Or maybe a longer way, you took a train, or like me, you took an airplane. So we all came here using gas or diesel or some kind of petroleum product. Nowadays, our life is completely dependent on fossil fuels, petroleum products. Actually, 100 years ago when these stories took place, Man Gongsim, Kyung-ho Snim, that time, everybody walked. The only form of transportation was the number 11 car, Shipil-ho-cha, which is two legs, walking somewhere. Maybe a horse if you're lucky, but a horse also is the same thing. Everybody walked. In 100 years, our whole human life has changed completely. Now, instead of walking, we ride a car, take a bus, take a train, take an airplane, which is all borrowing energy from basically oil. It all comes from oil. Oil comes from plants from a long time ago, which grew from the sun. So actually all of our energy comes from the sun. But for the last 150 years or so, we have been borrowing ancient energy that was made by the sun long ago. And if you look at a graph of human population growth and the use of fossil fuels is almost the same thing. From about 1850, the human population exploded from less than 1 billion people to now over almost 7 billion people today. And the amount of fossil fuel we used went from almost zero to a huge amount today. Actually, our life is completely dependent on oil and fossil fuel. When I lived in Korea 20 years ago, Korean people mostly used yuntan, or coal, which is also fossil fuel. But there's a lot of coal in Korea. It's very dirty. People don't like it. It makes a lot of pollution. So nowadays, no more coal is used in Korea, not too much, and it all comes from some other place far away and imported to Korea. Same as America. America has some oil also, but it imports a lot of oil. And it's interesting because our life is so dependent on oil. If this oil suddenly stops, no more oil comes into Korea, maybe soon there'd be a big coal industry again in Korea. But I know in America, life as we know it would grind to a halt if we didn't have oil. We couldn't grow food because we can't pump water. We can't transport the food. People would start starving and they'd start fighting each other for food. Society would break down without any oil. So anyways, back to our story. Man Gong Snim was practicing very hard and got enlightenment and was very famous in Korea for going around kicking everybody and hitting everybody and asking some question. Where does the one return? Or what is Buddha? And everybody was surprised. So about a year passed and he went to a big ceremony. This was also at Donghaksa, I think Donghaksa again. And his teacher was there, Kyung-ho Snim. And Man Gong Sim said, yeah, I got enlightenment. Also, my teacher got enlightenment. We are same, but because he's my teacher, I'll go bow to him. So he went in and bowed to Kyung-ho Snim. And Kyung-ho Sim said, I heard you got something, kind of subtly. And Man Gong Sim said, yeah, something appeared. So then Man Gong says, okay, Kyung-ho Snim says, okay, I have a question for you. And then he put down on the floor a fan, like one of these fans that you fan yourself with before air conditioning came along. Fan and a brush, a calligraphy brush. He said, the fan and the brush, are they the same or different? And Man Gong Sim said, the fan is the brush and the brush is the fan. Just like before, I said mountain is water, water is mountain, which is form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Everything's changing, changing, changing. But beneath this change, everything has the same substance. So if we don't attach the name and form, everything's the same. Man Gong Sim got this point. That was the enlightenment he got. This point, everything's the same. But we say he understood one, he didn't understand two. So Kyung-ho Snim very, very patiently tried to explain to him the next step. And Man Gong Sim was very stubborn and wasn't listening. So finally, Kyung-ho Snim said, okay, in the funeral ceremony it says, When monks do a funeral ceremony, they ring a bell and do this kind of chanting. And it says, one of the lines is, the statue has eyes and tears silently drip down. So Kyung-ho Sim said, what does this mean? And Manggong Sim said, I don't know. So Kyung-ho Sim said, if you don't understand what that means, how can you say the brush is the fan and the fan is the brush? And Manggong Sim said, oh, I'm very sorry. Please teach me. So Kyung-ho Sim said, okay. Then he gave him another kongan, which is famous Joju's Mu kongan. Buddha said, all beings have Buddha nature. In the sutras, all beings have Buddha nature, which means all beings can get enlightenment or wake up. But somebody asked famous Chinese Zen master Joju, does a dog have Buddha nature? Also, does a dog have Buddha nature? And Joju said, Mu, which means no. So Buddha said all beings have Buddha nature. Joju said, when asked, does a dog have Buddha nature? Mu, which means no. So there are many questions here. Which one is correct, Buddha or Joju? Also, what did Joju mean by mu? So he asked Manggong Sim, what does this mu mean? And Manggong Sim didn't know. So, okay, only keep that. What does this mean? Don't know. So again, Manggong Sim is brought back to this don't know. That's really the greatest treasure that any teacher can give a student, is returning them to this not knowing. Socrates used to go around Athens saying, you must understand yourself or know thyself. That made people very uncomfortable. Finally, they made him drink poison and killed him. People don't want to have some question. They want to have the answers. But before he died, anyways, he would often go around saying, know thyself. And one day, one of his students said to him, teacher, you always tell us to understand our true self. Do you understand your true self? And Socrates said, I don't know, but I understand this don't know. That's Socrates' famous don't know philosophy. That's also the same as Korean Zen Buddhism. What am I? Don't know. So anybody practicing Zen or Buddhism or maybe even any other religion, I don't know because I haven't practiced other religions, but certainly with Zen practice, we always return to don't know. So anything appears in our minds, thinking or some kind of illusion or fantasy or anything, we see it and then let it go and return to don't know. What is this? Don't know. That's a really great treasure of Korean Buddhism. People think, oh, nothing much to that, but that's wonderful. Try that. So Manggong Snim did, actually. And he went back to the Zen center and practiced again another 3 years, very strongly. And finally, he wrote a letter to his teacher, Kyung-ho Snim, and said, thank you very much, now I understand. Kimchi is salty, sugar is sweet. So after that, he got a transmission from Kyung-ho Snim and became a great Zen master himself. Kimchi is salty, sugar is sweet. Everything just like it is. Before I said mountain is mountain, water is water. Things are just like they are. Kimchi is salty, sugar is sweet. Very simple. Why did it take him so many years of hard practice to figure that out? Anyways, we can try. So he became a great Zen master and went to Sudoksa, which is towards the west coast from here, and built up this temple, Sudoksa. Actually, his teacher, Kyung-ho Snim, kind of retired and went to some faraway place and just taught young kids writing, Chinese characters, Hanmun, and lived a very simple life. One day, Manggong Snim was already a very famous Zen master, and he wanted to go pay his respects to Kyung-ho Snim. So he told everybody at the temple he'd be away for a few days. put on his backpack, and went off to find Kyung Hosenim. And finally he got there and took out from his back, he bowed very deeply to Kyung Hosenim, and then he opened his backpack up and took out a bottle of wine, or a bottle of some kind of alcohol, and some dried fish. And he said to his teacher, "Nowadays, when somebody brings wine, I drink wine. If somebody brings fish, I eat fish." Which means he has no hindrance. Anything is okay. Anything coming is okay, going is okay. That's really high class, and actually Sudoksa has become famous among Korean Buddhist temples for this kind of no hindrance style mind. So Man Gong Snim got that mind and was sharing it with his teacher. And his teacher said, "You are a very good student, but I cannot do that." And Man Gong Snim was surprised. "Why, you are my teacher. Why can't you do that?" Meaning, don't you have the same kind of mind, no hindrance mind that I do? And Kyung Hosenim said, "Okay, I want garlic. I like garlic." Actually, monks traditionally don't eat garlic. They don't eat garlic, onions, shallots, scallions, things, 5 things of the onion family, which kind of, in long time ago in India, kind of made more thinking for people. Too much energy. But Kyung Hosenim said, "I like garlic." So I go and buy 1 bulb of garlic, then I break it all up, and each clove I plant in the ground. Then those cloves grow into a bulb of garlic, and then I pick those. And then I take those apart and plant again each clove of each bulb. And then those grow into bulbs of garlic, and then I have a lot of garlic. And I pull it all up, keep some, and then take the rest and go into town and give out garlic to everybody. Then Man Gong Snim understood, okay. Not for me, that's for all beings. So wine coming, drink wine, fish coming, eat fish, yeah, that's okay, no hindrance, but only for me. How help all beings? So Kyung Hosenim said, "I like garlic, so I make a whole bunch of garlic, then give to all beings." So Man Gong Snim thanked him very much and got this mind. And that mind he has transmitted down through his students and his students. Anyways, there's many, many generations of Zen practitioners, Buddhists, monks, nuns, and lay people who have gotten this mind from Kyung Hosenim and Man Gong Snim. So I wanted to share that with you today. Anyways, how are we going to live in this world? I think we need to change the way we do things. Any kind of being, from the smallest bug or single-celled animal or plant, all the way up to a big whale or big elephant or human beings or beings at the top of the food chain, always will eat as much as they can. We will try to consume. We're all consumers. We try to consume as much as we can. That's kind of just the law of survival. Eat as much as we can now. Later on, we don't know if there's going to be enough, so we eat. And that's okay when everything's in balance, but we got out of balance because too many human beings are living in this world. And if we all keep consuming the way we have been doing, soon there's going to be no more food, no more water, no more oil. When I was growing up on the East Coast, there was an outbreak of gypsy moths. Gypsy moths are some kind of a caterpillar, and they come down from the trees on a little string, and then they go to other trees and eat the leaves. They eat all the leaves on the trees. And in 1 year, all the trees lost their leaves because there were so many caterpillars. And the scientists said, next year, if we get the same thing and the trees lose their leaves again, the trees will all die. All the trees will die. So everybody was very afraid. Oh, what's going to happen? And then next year came. There were no more caterpillars. No more gypsy moths. They ate all the food the last year and they all died. They all died because there was no more food. So nature has a way of putting things in balance. By itself, things come into balance. I'm afraid nature will find a way to balance human beings' overpopulation. Before that happens, we need to wake up. We need to change our way of living. So it's not easy. There's no easy solution, but we need to reduce and share. And that's a really, really big job in the whole world. It's a big job, but it starts with us. Each of us starts. We can start doing that. We can look at our life, and then we can act on that. Understanding this is very easy. We can read any book and pick up any magazine, and we can realize, yeah, that's correct. But doing it, that's the point. How do we do it? We need to get some energy and confidence. So we need to look inside. We need to practice, do some practice. So there's many kinds of practice, yoga practice, or Christian practice, or Muslim practice, Buddhist practice, any kind of practice which allows us to look inside, which gives us a little space from our daily life and all the thinking habits that we've built up is wonderful. Try something. Probably all of you have some connection, deep or short time or long time, to Buddhism. So if you're connected to Buddhism already, try some Buddhist practice. Find some place, Jagwangsa here, it's very good, and practice meditation, chanting. Something to cut thinking. Then look inside, then get energy, and then we can change. One person by one person by one person, we can change. Actually, this world can support twice as many human beings as now. 3 times it can, but we have to share. We have to live together and act together and not hold on to my situation. My teacher often talked about a lifeboat in the ocean. Maybe there's 2 people in one lifeboat. There's only enough food for one person to make it to shore. So what do? Easy. Split the food in half, both eat, together die. That's very easy. That's our situation. Anyways. So I really want to thank you all for coming here today and listening to me and giving me the opportunity to come here and speak. And I hope we all continue to find truth and what it means to be human and living in this world, and find some way and share it with other people. So as my teacher always said, I hope you only go straight, don't know. Try for 10,000 years nonstop. Thank you very much.